Well, really proud of our team. Not to go back and reminisce, but I told our kids at the hotel, wasn't that many years ago, I don't even think this was a series. Not very competitive. I think we've been able to win 3 in a row now. I think, what are we, 4-2 since we've been here against an Air Force team that you guys know how much I respect them. We've really kind of built this program in a lot of ways. Right there, you look at outwork, out-hit, out-discipline. Not the sexiest things, but really have tried to mirror ourselves here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, under some very difficult situations to make us be as much like them as we can to win games. So to beat them under some really kind of crazy situations. We went out there the first quarter, I thought played pretty good on defense, and it was almost like a halftime after the first quarter, right? And you know how Air Force will make adjustments, and they made adjustments offensively. They had us going. And then there was no halftime to come back and try to, it was like the halftime was after the first quarter. And you saw in the second quarter, I think they might have scored 21 points in the second quarter. Maybe had 280 yards with what would have been halftime. And then you had no real halftime to make adjustments. So I was really proud that we hung in there. I was impressed with their quarterback, particularly how he threw the football, their receivers, how they caught the football. They won 10 games last year. We've just gone through a stretch of Boise State, 9 wins last year, Tulsa 10 wins, and Air Force 10 wins. And to be sitting here 3-2 and get a chance now to rest is very important. Obviously, the running game, we only snapped the ball 50 times. They snapped it 81. But just again, it looked like it looked last year, right? With the dive just breaking the line of scrimmage, and Big McCorley off and running. Delane Hart had the big catch. Big plays. We didn't to snap the ball 50 times and have 509 yards is kind of what we've been as far as explosive. So, really a good win for us. I'm impressed with their quarterback. He carried the ball 30 times for 139 yards. And then, he threw the ball 9 for 17 for 158 yards, had 3 touchdowns. We did sack him 4 times. But it's kind of a typical game. It's a typical game like it's been. There's been some great competitive games with the Air Force Academy. So with that said, we had a couple safeties get hurt. We gave up some things we shouldn't have given up, probably. But overall, we'll take this one, and I'm really proud of our team. You look at, after the New Mexico State loss, where we turned it over 4 times. Then we go to Boise, end up playing with our 3rd quarterback, win at Tulsa with our 3rd quarterback, and then come out here tonight under the kind of conditions that, most people would think Air Force would have the advantage, right? Whatever comes their way, they're going to adapt to, and they're going to go play, regardless if it's rain and lightning, halftime delay, lightning delay. I think the same can be said about us. We're going to give you our money's worth now. You're going to get your money's worth when you come watch us play. So I'm excited. I'm pleased. And Rick, you got some questions there?
Several of the players knelt when the national anthem was played during the abbreviated halftime. Did you know that was going to happen?
No. Again, I didn't know we've never been out there for a national anthem. And the agreement was made that there was going to be no national anthem played between Troy Calhoun, myself, and Cooper Castleberry, the referee. So I didn't even know it was going to be played when it was played. I'm not sure our players knew. So again, I'd like to have the opportunity to visit with our players, talk about what our stance would be unified as a football team. I kind of got shocked by that. But it's not the first thing I've been shocked about being the head coach here at New Mexico, I can promise you that. It's just another in a long line of things. So again, I wouldn't want to judge or have too much of a critique, at least speaking from my standpoint as far as a total football team. because in fairness to them, I never really talked to them about it. It's the first time I've ever been in a game where the national anthem was played at halftime of a game, and there wasn't even a halftime. So there was a lot of confusion. I'm not making excuses. I don't know who did what. Quite honestly, it was kind of bizarre to me how the whole thing kind of happened. Again, you can talk to the players. Players can tell you what they thought or what they knew, or even if they knew what was going on. But it definitely was a little bit confusing, to say the least, particularly when we were told they weren't going to play the national anthem. I just wish I'd had a chance to talk to our football team before.
Well, Corley's performance obviously stellar, the whole ground game, but he had kind of struggled getting out of the gate in the first couple games, and now this breakout game tonight. Why do you think?
I think, first of all, and he said it down there, our offensive line. I guess the move of Teton Saltis to tackle, Chris Estrella to guard, we made some progress. We made some progress. I mean, there were some opportunities to get to the second level in there. And when Rick gets to the second level, he can go. So, I mean, you got to look at the tape, JP. I'm really happy for Rick because he's been grinding it. He's had it hasn't gone exactly like Rick had hoped it would go. But I'm glad he took advantage of his opportunities tonight and got back on track. This was a big win for us, and particularly for our offense. Our offense really started clicking tonight with the ground game. We made a lot of yards up between the tackles. It wasn't all just a perimeter run game. Really, for the first time this year, there was some movement up in there and a chance to make yards up inside.
What was going through your head when you were watching him? Even the second run coming at 65 yards. I mean, you looking like, wow.
I thought that big dude can roll. He can roll now when he gets going. And I was happy for Delane Hart too. Rick and Delane are great friends. Both those guys have high expectations. Delane was able to get his shot with the one long pass. But yeah, I mean, it was fun to see our offense again. If we can get the dive going a little bit, we're tough to stop. So it was good to see just kind of the old school New Mexico offense making some plays up in there on the inside running game.
Could you talk a little bit more specifically about how you deal with the rain delay, especially with not having a full halftime and only having 5 minutes? What do you do in that 5 minutes?
It was, again, it was a lot like Nevada last year. It kind of turned into a music fest in there. The music was playing pretty good, and guys were really loose and having fun. It was a little different not having the halftime because Air Force did make some real adjustments offensively there when we came back out for the second quarter. And then you had no chance to really come back. You were kind of adjusting on the run. So it was different. For Air Force, second week in a row, right? But again, I think, being able to adapt to some things, this football team has proven it's been able to adapt to different things that happen. And that's what I'm most excited about. I really am. Whether it was, Lamar going down against Boise or going to Tulsa in that kind of heat and humidity, or tonight with the rain. And, because one thing, and all credit to Air Force, rain, lightning, wind, it's not going to affect Air Force now. I've played them a bunch of times over the years. And, our guys stepped up.
You had 363 yards on rushing and 146 passing. Is that more of the kind of balance that you instead of right down the middle, you'd rather see more of the run yards?
Yeah, I mean, that's us, right? When we're at our best, it's when we throw it about 10 times right now. That's just the way we're geared right now. And when we can get the running game going like we got it going tonight, we're a handful. I do think we can be more balanced. Again, not to go back into that conversation, but let's face it, the big games we've won around here over the years, it's been when they're going to run it, we're going to run it, and people know we're going to run it, but they can't stop it. And it was just good to see that offensive line look like our offensive line again tonight with some really young guys in there. Teton with 4 years of football left, Chris Estrella with 3 years of football left. That's pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff against an Air Force team #1 in the league in defense. You look at what Air Force defense did against Michigan. You look what Air Force defense did against San Diego State. They were number one in our conference in defense coming in here tonight. So it was a big win for us, particularly as you guys asked me last week with the open date coming up. You know, that's always big, going into this open date with some juice and some confidence and some kind of momentum.
So does it come?
The only one that's a concern.
Gurgle?
Yeah.
Yeah, Gurgle, Austin Ocasio pulled a hamstring, which it was pretty significant. So right now it's Gurgle, Ocasio. Zanier Schuler had a wrist that looked like, I don't know a whole lot just yet, but those three I know. Knee. He did come back in a little bit. I'm not sure how he didn't finish the game for us though.
You mentioned
Coach,
the bye week.
what changed in your second half running game from the first half?
I think running between the tackles. You know, we started to wear them down just a little bit, even though we didn't have the ball that much. You know, we were just able to get some movement up in there. And they played us in an odd front, you know, not a 4 down. And we've had a little more success against odd, you know, with those bubbles over the guard. I mean, we play odd. But we've just seemed to have a little more movement up in there against that 3-4 front instead of the 4 down. But, you know, to be able to run the ball between the tackles is such a comforting feeling for us. You know, when you can make first downs, and then you have an opportunity to do some other things off it. And that's been missing for us a little bit. Not unlike the last couple years. You know, we've been a team that has developed and gotten better each and every season, if you watch us closely. And I think we have a chance to do that with this offensive line now starting to become, you know, a pretty good unit for us.
You mentioned the bye week. Is it coming at a good time, or would you like to kind of keep this train?
No, man, it's coming at a great time. This has been a roller coaster. This early part of this season, you know, losing to New Mexico State at home. It's a good time. It's a good time for us.
Coach, you said that, you know, obviously they scored the 21 points in the second quarter. You guys had a 21-point third quarter. When it's 21-21, Lamar had that fumble that wasn't a fumble. You guys ended up going in for the touchdown, take the lead, get a stop. Ramel Jordan had a couple good runs.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel, was that the shift?
Yeah, I think the non-fumble call on Lamar was big, right? You know, the knee was down. We were able to go in and score. Then the fumbled kickoff. We forced the fumble on the kickoff. You know, we had the 2 turnovers kind of in that same time frame right there. We ran a double pinch. They come out and the quarterback kind of gets stuck up in there and the ball fumble. They fumble it. Then we came back pretty close after that and caused the fumble on the kickoff. You know, the one kickoff they ran back. I think those 2 turnovers right there were really key. But like every Air Force team, they don't go away. You know, it's not like you ever say, hey, this thing's over. And they kept coming back. But, yeah, there was a period there where you kind of felt like we were asserting ourselves. And then, again, particularly with those big runs that we creased up in there, that was really the –
Just to kind of follow up on, you talked about the turnovers, obviously huge for Air Force's turnovers. You guys capitalized on. Talk about the clean sheet on you guys' in this time. Yeah,
you know, we started off the season turning it over, right, a little bit. And now we've kind of, you know, even last week at Tulsa, you know, we turned it over a couple times in the red zone. And tonight we were clean. You know, tonight we were clean. And as you say, we kind of beat Air Force at their own